You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always, my good friends,
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Hey, thanks.
Hey. Glad to have you back.
It's good to be back. It was strange, I will tell you, because, I was gone. I listened to the podcast because I wasn't part of it, because I was out of the country and with family and traveling, that kind of thing. And it was our big annual, go out of the country vacation. But it was kind of fun to, just be a listener, because I didn't really know what you guys did. Or, I just got a thing that said, hey, we did the podcast and it'll be coming out on Tuesday. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. So I was actually, patiently waiting for it to come out to hear what you guys were talking about. So it was kind of neat. Not knowing ahead of time, what's coming out or what the topic is. So, it was kind of cool. I appreciate Doug and him filling in for me. That was nice of him.
Oh, it sure was.
Did Jay edit out all the bad stuff I said about you?
Probably.
Okay.
Obviously, Mike hasn't listened to it. I didn't hear anything.
Are you saving all that
Say
stuff, Mike, for the end of year review?
the end of year Mike AZ review. So
I didn't say anything bad of you, so there wouldn't be anything bad of you.
Yeah, now he's backpedaling. It is good to be back in the U.S. For those of you that
You'd like to be back with us?
Yeah, with us as well. For those of you who don't know, I took the family to Cambodia. It was just on a whim, I think. We planned it back, earlier in the year, but we flew over to Hong Kong and then down to a place called Siem Reap, Cambodia. And it's where Angkor Wat, you ever heard of that?
What?
Yeah, exactly. If you're a Tomb Raider fan, I think you guys have probably seen Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie and the first one around. Anyway, she was running through these little temples and then kind of went down and fought the big 6-armed, mega monster or whatever. All those places that she was going around, we went to those.
Oh, that's cool. Was she there?
No. Oh. But everybody there knows her because she donates an incredible amount of money to the economy, which is kind of weird because I think, didn't she adopt some children from there, I think?
She did. That's
I think she's got kids from everywhere.
Yeah, well, I think she's got 2 Cambodian kids or 3 Cambodian kids. But talk about winning the lottery. Holy smokes. If you guys are complaining about living in the U.S., just go visit there. Because
what do you mean?
It was amazing. I basically did I won't take up the whole podcast, but I did an Airbnb and looked for something. I found something that was pretty reasonable for the area. So it was a house. It had a pool, and it came, with a driver and a maid to clean the house. And it was relatively inexpensive in U.S. dollars if you were going to do something like that. We were there for like 2 weeks or so, and I found out that the maid that took care of the Airbnb on a daily basis, she would come in at about 8:00. She also, by the way, cooked us breakfast. They said that she would cook us breakfast, and we really didn't eat breakfast all that much, but when we did, she cooked for us. And so all of that, we found out that she has 7 kids. So her and her husband plus 7 kids is 9 people in her household. And the average income for her on a monthly basis is $185.
Wow.
185 U.S. dollars.
Wow.
That's her entire monthly income. And the only reason I found that out is because, I was kind of figuring up this, she came in every day, cooked us breakfast and all this stuff. And I thought, man, I should tip this lady, as a common housekeeper, you kind of leave a tip or whatever. So I gave her $200 U.S. because we were there for the whole time. And my wife and I talked about it, and she's like, yeah, that's pretty fair. It worked out to, $10 a day or whatever, or, for cleaning the house all day and taking care of the pool and everything. Anyway, the lady literally cried. She fell down on her knees. She was like, thank you. And I'm like, oh no, I must have offended her, because They have different customs there. So my driver, she didn't speak English, but my driver did. So
Yes,
I went.
That's why your driver was like, "Oh yeah, her spitting on
I
your
know,
shoes."
right? I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think I offended her."
Oh, it is. Oh, great. Let me spit on her shoes. Oh, no.
I told him, I said, "I think I offended her." She started crying, and he goes, no, you tipped her more than a month's salary." So she had no words, I was like, okay, well, considering the whole trip didn't barely even cost me that, I figured it was a good deal. So anyway, it was really, really kind of a good time. But funny story though, before we jump into the podcast stuff, the driver asked if we wanted to come over because, they would take us to all these really nice places. And I told him, I was like, look, I'm over here to experience the culture. So why don't you take me where you would go to eat or you would go to shop or, that kind of thing. So he thought that was really strange because most people that come in, they don't want to go eat at a local restaurant. It's not like the nice sit down restaurant. It's kind of somebody in, with a little barbecue grill cooking stuff. So anyway, we actually wound up going to one and he thought that was kind of cool that we wanted to do it. And anyway, his kid is 3 and was turning 3. He's having a birthday party. And so he asked us if we wanted to come over for the birthday party. And the girl, I was with some people in there, and the 2 girls were like, "Oh yeah, let's go, we want to do it." So the first thing they did immediately was like, "Well, we got to find a present for the kid. You don't go to a birthday party without a present in the U.S. anyway." Evidently, that's nobody can afford it, so they just don't buy. They bring a beer, salute you, and say thanks a lot, and eat chicken feet like chicken wings, which is weird. But they anyway, so we went to the local market. We were running around. They were trying to find we found out he was a Spider-Man fan. And so the girls were looking for, like Spider-Man pajamas or some kind of a Spider-Man outfit that he could wear. 'Cause he's 3. And I'm like, well, how big is this Cambodian kid? Is he tall, short, so I'm kind of running around the market looking, for a kid that's roughly the same age. 'Cause they're all pretty close to, I don't want everybody to think that they all look alike, but they're pretty close to the same height and structure, just because of the diets and the way that they work. So anyway, there's these little girls that are sitting over there, and I ran over and I go, hey. I said, how old is that little girl? And the girl behind the desk goes, what? She doesn't speak a whole lot of English, but she kind of looked at me with this square look, I said, how old is the girl? Is she 3 or 4? And the lady goes, no. and I'm like, yeah, is she 3 years old or 4 years old? And she starts kind of yelling at the lady in the next booth, and the lady in the next booth comes over and stands between me and this kid, and it's this little girl. She's sitting there with an iPad in her hand, and so I'm pointing at the little girl, and I'm like, the little girl, is it 3 or 4? Well, in this country, when you negotiate to purchase something, you're negotiating. And everything is like $1, $5, $7. So here I am negotiating. My wife told me, she said, we're going to get arrested in here because they think you're trying to buy their daughter.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they thought I was wanting their kid for $300 or $400. And, they were like, no, this kid's not for sale. And it took us a while because there were like 3 little, it's like an open air market, and each little booth is only like a 10 by 10 booth. And so there were all these little kids, and I was trying to figure out which one was 3 so I could measure the size. Well, anyway, my wife ran around there trying to find somebody speaking English while I was trying to get arrested by buying these little Cambodian children.
Wow.
And, anyway, so then they came back over, and once my wife explained to them that we were looking for an age, then all the women kind of dispersed. They weren't so, because they literally like surrounded me. Like they were going to, I was waiting for the clubs to get whipped out and start beating on me because I was trying to buy children. Come to find out,
what kind of Cambodian custom is this?
Yeah, come to find out, they call that human trafficking, and it's very illegal. So
yeah, they call that there too.
It seems to be the same worldwide. So when you go to Cambodia or Vietnam or wherever, don't try to buy little children, or at least try to find their age. Make sure you find somebody who speaks English and ask them. So it
Mike,
was just my personality.
I'm gonna have to not be a guest on the show anymore.
He doesn't want to be associated with me. Well, it was funny. I mean, it wasn't funny at the time. It's funny now, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, so we got back, and the holidays kind of caught me, so we spent a little time with my son, and now I'm back. So actually, I had to go back to work, but but it's good to be back. And here's a cool thing too: is drones are legal in Cambodia.
Wow. Again, wow.
Okay, how'd you find that out?
So we went to this little place. They call it Kulan Mountain. You can Google it, but it's a river. And it has a huge waterfall, and we jumped in the water and swam up underneath the waterfall. And while we're underneath the waterfall, I could hear this noise, and I'm like, what the heck is that noise? And I look up, and there's a Mavic flying around up there. And I was like, holy smokes. And then there was another one. I was like, who's got the drones? So when we got out, my driver was standing there, and I was like, hey, there's drones flying up above this thing. And he goes, oh, yeah, do you have one? He said, if you bring it down here, you can get great shots of this whole area if you have one. I was like, no, I didn't bring one because, obviously people don't like them in state parks and all that kind of thing. But over there, evidently, it's not a big deal because nobody can afford one. So if you have one, feel free to fly.
All of a sudden, people in the U.S. are going to start buying tickets to Cambodia to go fly their drones.
Well, they're going to have to go
I say that, it's just sort of a segue because aren't there a bunch of new rules coming out?
Yeah, there are.
Like drone identification or something? Do you know much about that, Mike? I mean, I only know a little bit.
Yeah, they released the new regulations that came out with the aviation regulation or whatever the new law that just passed. And there are some things that that are in there, but right now I think everybody's just status quo. There have been some fairly big changes, and I think the AMA on their last video production they were talking about some of that stuff. But I just don't know how the FAA is going to regulate it or enforce it. That's going to be the most difficult part.
Right, because they don't have an enforcement.
No, they're not an enforcement action
wing or yeah. So if they're going to rely on like local police or what, the police are going to be like, what do we know about planes?
Yeah, I got somebody robbing the bank over here, and you want me to drive over to the park and yell at the guy for flying a drone over your house? Yeah, I got better things to do, kind of thing. So
exactly.
But unless they create a total new drone police, which may it may come. The TSA they've got plenty of people running around, so maybe they'll.
Drone police.
We can do a whole new podcast on drone police. But yeah, to answer your question, Mike, I know the regulations come out. I actually got an email. I haven't finished reading the email. I just kind of glanced over it. Just kind of getting back into the swing of things. But I do know that some of the guys that I fly with have been talking about it because they're FPV and drone operators, and they're kind of not really worried, but it's just on their minds. So I've been watching email transactions between the group that I fly with about the new rules. Did you read through it at all?
Yeah, I read a little bit, but I don't really understand all the different sections of the part 104, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And so for a regular person, if you're reading through it, it's like, okay, and
right,
because it doesn't really tell me what it is I can or can't do. Just and also the AMA was pretty good about this. They said, this isn't. Don't freak out because this isn't regulation yet. It's just a proposed rulemaking. And so that's good. But to know that it's about to come, it could become law. I think people need to know about that stuff. That's my opinion anyway.
Well, just so that you know, in Texas, for you two guys, there is a law on the books that says if a horse walks by your car, you have to jump out of your car and cover your car with a tarp so the horse doesn't get spooked. That is an actual law in the state of Texas. How many guys do that, by the way?
I do it every time.
Right.
Yeah, I obey the law. I don't know about you.
I got a tarp right in my front right seat.
Best not come to Texas, Mike. That's all I got to tell you.
You can also shoot a man if he steals your horse. So what I'm saying is that
that's true. That's in most places.
Right. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of laws on the books that have become laws that, once again, are very difficult to enforce. And I'm not proposing that people go out and just break the law to break the law. I'm just saying that until they figure out how to come about and actually enforce or regulate it, that's why the AMA says don't really freak out. There's they're trying to work with everybody, but I will tell you, working with the FAA professionally, that there has been times when the feds have said, yeah, that's a rule, but, try not to break it, or, just let us know if you're going to do something.
More of a suggestion?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a rule, but
a
once again,
guideline.
what are they going to do? How do they even know? Even if you registered it, or if you put your name and phone number and you put, serial numbers and everything, this is how to contact me. Someone would actually have to find it, turn it in. They would have to spend their time to track you down and to impose, some sort of a regulatory fine, and then the lawyers would get involved. It's just a really long, drawn-out process, and I just don't know if they're ready for that.
Well, that kind of reminds me of one of the guys out where you're at, AZ Mike. They found that drone in the park.
Oh, that's correct.
Near your house. Yeah. And they tried to turn it into the cops, and the cops were like, yeah, they didn't care. And,
no. They did take it. They did.
Oh, I mean, they took it, but because I contacted the FAA on this side, gave those guys the information, that they followed through with it, and it was like each party didn't care. Like, hey, we found this drone. The police have it. Here's the number they got off it, and they were like, okay, that's great. And we were like, okay, tell us who it belongs to, because then we can contact the guy. Well, we can't give you that information.
Right.
That's what came back from the FAA. If I remember what happened, they were like, well, we can't give you that. We just can't give out that information.
Right.
And we're like, isn't the whole thing to find out who owns this thing so we can return it back to him? Well, that's not our, that's not our
right.
job. Or
our job was to identify who was
job.
flying it, on the off chance that there was something major that happened.
Right.
So,
and then the police, they were just like, well, we don't have access to that stuff, so it's just lost and found as far as we're concerned.
It did get returned back.
I don't know. I
kind
of see.
though.
Oh, I kind of see this kind of like ham radio stuff.
Right.
Like when CBs came out in the 70s and 80s, and it was super, super popular. Yes, you have to, and just like with some of the video stuff that we do in RC, but you have to get a ham license. But the problem was, hey, the technology came where transistor radios, came out, the transistor came out, and CB radios just took off, and everybody bought one. It was super cool.
Yeah, because everybody had one in their car.
They were supposed to have a ham license, and they were supposed to, and everybody was supposed to, get their ham license, and they were supposed to do all their stuff. And that didn't happen. The FCC couldn't go out and track down who had these things, who didn't, who was violating the rules of, ham radio etiquette.
Right.
They had all these rules, but they couldn't enforce it. And I'm kind of seeing the same thing might happen with the RC stuff.
Okay, so we've said all that just so that I know now not to tarp my car anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to tarp
when
up
a horse
your
goes
car.
by.
I'm good.
That was pretty funny, though, that you remembered that. Yeah, you don't have to do that. Well, I will tell you that if you haven't read it, go ahead and read it. It is very difficult because it's a lot of lawyer speak, and if you're a lawyer, great. Maybe you can send us an email and explain some of it to us. But I'm used to dealing with the federal aviation regulations, which are a CFR, 14 through whatever. They are a lot of, if this happens, then this, and if that happens, then this, and there's a lot of kind of jumping around. So you have to kind of read something, and then, okay, well, this says I can't do it, and then later on it says, oh, unless I do this, this, and this, then I can do it. So you just have to kind of look through it and start interpreting it. Unless they have the clubs, the AMA, somebody on their law staff, I guess, come out with a more layman's terms, this is how to do it. I foresee there's going to be a lot of confusion.
Yeah, and it seems like they're at least using the process properly this time, as opposed to when it was just all knee jerk and they came out with the rules and they did it in like 3 months. Right. And usually a rule change, I think for the FAA, takes like 3 to 5 years usually, if they're changing rules or making new rules.
Yeah, it's a time frame. I know it's more, there's a 90-day window and a 120-day or 60-day window or something like that. So it does take a little bit of time, but they can get it passed relatively quickly if they want to.
Right.
So,
well, I'm glad that they're slowing down and taking their time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys are talking about FAA because it's making me think about Christmas.
Did the FAA give you something for Christmas?
No, I just thought that was a great segue into Christmas because when you're talking about the FAA, you must have a drone or a new airplane or some kind of new radio or something. So, Mike, we talked about in the recent podcast about what we wanted for, things that we thought were good for Christmas. And you were in Cambodia. We couldn't ask you. So I thought I'd put you on the spot right now.
Sure. Well, some of my Christmas gifts have already arrived because of Black Friday. So I do know what's in some of the boxes.
Excuse me. That was Black
Fly Day. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Fly Day.
Black Fly Day. Everybody
That's
knows.
right. Yeah, you did. Everybody knows it's Black Fly Day. So I got a cracked Yak 55, Twisted Hobbies. I've actually already pulled it out of the box because I'm probably going to fly that for Christmas. But yeah, I got that, and I got the I think they call it the DMG package, which is the digital Metal Gear, servos, and it comes complete with everything. So
I see. For the package for the Yak 55.
Right. I got.
I get it. Okay, cool. Okay.
And then I know that Spencer and Barry, when we did the Jet Rally, they kept saying there was some big reveal, and I think we kind of mentioned it on another podcast right at the tail end of it. But this year under my Christmas tree is a 90-inch F-18 from Tamjets. So it is a full-on turbine. I've jumped into the turbine world. It's very difficult now for Jay to be my airplane broker because
that's right. I'm out.
Yes.
I'll still be your friend, Jay.
That's right. You can still be Mike's RC broker. And I actually had to move over to Barry and Spencer for their help because they've got several of them. I think Spencer, he's a listener, but I think he wound up with like 5 or 6 new turbines this for Christmas. So he
was a very good.
He was. Cool. He was much better than the rest of us, I think.
So the 90-inch one, that's the one you can sit in, right?
Pretty close. Yeah, you could almost sit in it. No, you can't really sit in it, but I'm 6'1", so that's 73 inches, and I stand just as tall as the aileron. If it's on its nose with the tail pointed towards the sky, my head is even. I actually have to look over the aileron. I have to stand on my tippy toes at 6'1". So,
Mike, when we come and visit you for the Electrical Festival coming up in 2019, I'm going to catch you a squirrel, and I'm going to train it to be able to sit in that plane so you can fly it around.
There you go. I think there's a video on that. The guy's got a squirrel that takes his airplane. It's a pretty funny video.
Yeah, I'm going to do exactly what they did because I'm pretty sure there's a YouTube about how to train the squirrel to do that stuff. So I just have to find that, and I'll be able to do it.
Well, no offense. I'm probably not going to allow the squirrel to get anywhere near that turbine because.
Come on, man. In fact, my wife could sew a little G suit for him. It'll be awesome.
Yes, I can
tell.
That
would be great. Yeah. And that way you could keep his tail from getting sucked into the fan. That would be bad if it did. I wouldn't want that to see that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd spend all that time training the guy. I'd hate to have him lose his tail.
Well, I did wind up with that, and I do have another one. Wound up picking up a Tamjets A4. The A4 actually can be either an EDF or a turbine. I think I'm gonna if I keep it. I thought about selling it, but if I keep it, I'm probably gonna put a turbine in it. So
I was thinking, Mike. When I first got into the plane, I didn't really have a lot of money to have more than like 1 or 2 receivers. And so what I used to do is I used to swap them from plane to plane. I had 3 or 4 or 5 planes, and I'd swap them from plane to plane. So I figured you could do that with the turbine. Just swap it. Just put it in another plane, right?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
I wish, but no. My F-18 has a 12-channel Spectrum in it with I think they call it a DXSL, which opens up another 8 channels. So the F-18 has 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 gear doors that operate. So you have to actually actuate 9 gear doors, 3 sets of gear, 2 rudders, 2 ailerons, 2 flaps,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, a steering servo and a partridge in a pear tree. So swapping from one to the other is not really advisable.
Woof.
Yeah, it is a new, a new undertaking for me. it's something new. I've never done it before. I still have all my foamies. I still go out and fly, and it's fun. But for me, the next step, I'm hanging out with these two guys, going to the jet rally, and you may or may not know, but when I came back, I had 1 day here, and when we arrived, I had 1 day left or 2 days left of the jet rally here in Arizona, over at our favorite Superstition.
Oh yeah,
where we it's at the same field that we do the electric festival, but they have a jet rally. So I got to see all the guys, and they were all excited about Matt and everybody were like, "Oh, you're coming to the electric festival, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll be here." But they had some really, really good airplanes out there. Not to change the subject, but to tell you that there's some new stuff coming out in the park flyer world. Tony with Motion RC was out there with the new F-22, and it was awesome. Cool. And I know they're in pre-order right now, I think. Yes, but he actually had it, so I actually got to see him fly it and an up close personal look at it, and it is a phenomenal airplane. It's a 90 millimeter, so it's pretty,
okay. So wait a minute,
fantastic.
I just want to get something clear again. Sorry, I just really slow in uptake on these things, but. So what I'm getting out of this is that we're the Park Flyer podcast, and that what we are is a gateway drug to turbine engines. Is that what you're saying?
That may be the case.
Yeah. All right. So we have to, because now I think we're going to be legally bound to put a disclaimer on the front of the podcast saying, if you listen to this podcast, you may become addicted to turbine engines, and therefore, be careful.
Yeah, well, I will say that hanging out with Spencer and Barry is the drug for turbines.
They're the dealers. They're the dealers. I mean, that's the turbine dealers. Yeah. So, I'm going to stay away from those two guys. They seem like bad juju right there.
They're actually really good guys. I really like hanging out with them. But I talked to him today. Spencer finished his F-16. He finally got it all painted. I think he was sanding on it when I talked to him, doing the last final. Little things to get the gear doors to sit right, but he's flown it quite a bit. Barry's working on another. He got a Tamjet F-18 as well in a Blue Angels colors. Mine's not Blue Angels; it's Jolly Rogers. But he got the same one, so he's almost ready to put the turbine and go fly his. There's still some work that he's doing on it. He's probably still maybe a month away, but his is going to be ready to go way sooner than mine. Mine's still in the box because I got it and then I left for Cambodia, so I haven't even unpacked it yet. But he's been working on it the whole time I've been gone. So both of those guys have
really bad
by
the Becky.
What's that?
So it'll be ready by the electric festival, right? So Mike and I can fly it.
No. So first of all, you have to have a turbine waiver, and I don't have one yet. I have to get one. So you have to go through some training to get that. So it won't be ready by then. Trust me. There's a lot of work that goes into these.
I was just saying I feel bad for Becky.
Why?
Because where Mike goes, Jay follows. That's just the way it is.
And that is true. And I'll tell you why. Because I was thinking about. Remember, I said I was thinking about selling my turbine to Jay. And I could call him up and say, "Hey, I'll give you a good deal on this turbine if you want to take it off my hands."
Okay, those of you in podcast land can't see Jay's face, but there is a degree of skepticism on it. But I'll tell you what,
exactly.
I don't think it's going to stay there. I think it's going to be gone in no time.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a I don't think so, but then you could see in the back of his eyes going, "Huh, that's that's something to think about."
I wonder if I could sell my car. That would be enough.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's I figure by April when the tax returns come in, he'll be like, "Hey man, is that little A4 still for sale? Because I'm looking for a turbine." Either that, or I'm going to find one and then just send it to him. So then he'll be stuck.
Send him a recording of something, like music or something, and in the background subliminally place.
You want to buy a turbine?
Get a turbine. A4 turbine. A4 turbine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this the podcast next year is going to be filled with turbine stories, I'm sure.
We'll have to change your intro, right? From the radial engine
to the jet. Yeah, no doubt.
Jet noise. Is that it? In fact, you have an A4 sitting in the background of your office there.
Yes, and that's a GWS A4. We've talked about it before. It has been an ongoing project, but I was thinking maybe I'd have it ready for the Electro Festival. I actually have all the parts for it, but every time I go to work on it, something new comes in the mail, and I start working on that. So,
well, maybe we can get there early enough, Jay, where we can just sort of, just figure that stuff out, put those things together.
I got plenty of stuff. I'm nervous about you guys fixing my planes, though. See, so last year I had them all ready to go because I was watching Jay's modification things, and I'm like, "What is this thing?" But yeah, I've got plenty of stuff.
Okay, I think that's totally unfair towards me because I didn't touch a single one of your planes.
No. You had your own airplanes you had to put together, and modify.
But they were my plane. Yeah, and they modified nicely, I might add.
Yeah. I still have an ASW 28 that's in the box that came in as well. I just got that. Yeah, finally came in. Right? Yeah, the one that on slow boat from China finally got here. So
I don't remember they have to build the boat, then put the stuff on it.
Well, I sent them an email and they asked me. I said, "Hey, look, it's not like I'm in a hurry for this thing because I'm about to leave. I have some stuff to do. I didn't tell them I was going out of the country, but." I told them, I was like, hey, I haven't heard whether this thing's being shipped or not. And they asked me, what do you want to do? Do you want to cancel your order? And I'm like, no, I already bought it. And I bought it for a good price. So, just whenever it ships, just let me know. I kid you not, like 2 or 3 days later, I got a notification that it shipped and it showed up within a couple of days. So I went outside, the giving bush was there, and this big, long box was sticking out of the bottom of the giving bush. And I thought, ooh, what did the giving bush give me today? So I picked it up and unwrapped it, and I thought, oh, I know what this is. So
did that come on Giving Tuesday?
You know what? I don't know. It could have. It probably should have.
That'd have been funny.
Yeah, it would have been funny, Giving Tuesday. But so I got that, and then shortly I arrived back when I came back into the U.S., there was I walked into my office and there's another huge box, sitting in my chair that came in, and it says "Merry Christmas" across the box. So I actually got my early Christmas gift from Jay, and and so when I opened it up, there was a massive. I don't know if you can see it, but I don't know where it went. It was back here. I think I took it in the other room, but it's a massive 23-inch by 23 by 10, right? It's a 23 by 10 inch.
I thought it was 28 by 10.
28? It was 28 by 10 inch prop. So it came in a huge box, almost the size of the ASW. And I was like, holy smokes, what is this prop for? And then I realized, oh, yeah, it's the Katana. I now own a 106-inch gas Katana S.
Oh, I thought it went on the back of that A4.
No.
Okay.
That A4 is beer cooler styrofoam. I don't think that prop would do. That thing would push it along pretty good. So anyway,
and that was your garbage pail trail or dumpster.
My dumpster
plane,
diving. Right? Yeah, it really wasn't in the dumpster. Somebody just decided to, they didn't want it anymore. So, but yeah, that was that airplane for me. So now I have. That was almost done. I believe it or not, for Black Friday, I ordered some servos for it. And got those. I will tell you that when you move up into the 106-inch, your servos are no longer $5.
$5.
As a matter of fact, I could have outfitted two full airplanes with flaps and everything for the price of one of these servos. So
holy crap.
That was quite eye-opening for me on Black Friday.
Check.
But the good news is
for Mike.
Yeah, exactly. The good news is that I have to give props to Tim Hanstein up there at Northwest RC. He had a fantastic Black Friday deal on a lot of servos. So I supported him and ordered a bunch.
Oh, good. So that was your your Black Friday good deal, or did you find any others?
That was the good deal that I found. There was some servos. Of course, I found the Twisted Hobbies was on sale too. It had,
that's right.
A bunch of stuff. So I got one of those. Mainly because it's kind of funny. I've always wanted one of these, and I think several years ago you got me the high wing one,
Turbo Beaver,
the cracked beaver. So I've been flying that cracked beaver all over the place, and I let some guys fly it, and they kind of put it in the ground once or twice, which is no big deal because it's EPP. But when I got home, I realized that there's some pretty serious tears in the wings and the body, and I'm going to have to do some pretty good repair on it. So I needed some Beacons foam tack because that's what they use. And that's really why I went to Twisted Hobbies, was to buy the Beacons foam tack, because they have it for like $9. Everywhere else sells it for like $15, but Twisted Hobbies has it for $9. And so I was like, I'll just get some foam tack from these guys. And while I was on their website, I wound up, getting the Cracked Yak stuff, and just said, hey, I'll get that too, because I need to put more stuff in my cart to get the better shipping.
Yeah.
You know how that is. You're only $5 away or $15 away from free shipping.
For free shipping.
My fingers slipped. Oops, I had to add one quantity of planes. Oopsie.
I have to say that is the best marketing tool ever invented. And I don't know who invented it, because we've been doing it since the Hobby King days. Way back when Hobby King was Hobby City, right? It was only in China. And we would order stuff. Jay and I would get together and make one order, because, it was very expensive to get it to Alaska, and so he would send it to my house, and I'd mail it up to him in the via the regular mail. But it was always like, hey man, get me a battery or get me an extra set of this, because we're only 45 grams from the next shipping level.
Yeah, it was all weight instead of price. It was weight.
Yeah,
right?
It was weight.
Yeah.
You could get all the way up to this weight before you went to the next level. So like order everything you can to stay under that weight. So we'd always order really lightweight stuff, props or servos or whatever. So
Oh, we still got 500 grams. Oh, all right, we'll get it.
It's pretty funny.
More glue, more this.
It'd take us like a week to get the order together, and then finally order everything. And then it would take like 6 or 8 weeks to get here.
They had to build a boat, man.
We had almost the airplane built, waiting for parts. You had to schedule it out. Okay, well, it's going to take like 8 weeks to get here, so you had to schedule your build so that 8 weeks later you were right where you needed to be when the parts came in. It was pretty funny. So yeah, the Twisted Hobbies one and the Northwest RC got me some really good deals on servos. The Savox and MKS, the 777s, I think I ordered those for the jets, and ordered quite a bit of them.
How many ounces of torque did they put out?
They put out, I think at 8.4 volts, they put out almost 580 inches of torque. Could almost lift your car with it. I mean, that's right. They're pretty heavy.
Where's my jack? Yeah, get that servo.
But you know what? The weird part is I will tell you that this servo is about the same size as the palm of my hand. I mean, they're that big.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be small.
Oh no, it's not small, and it's titanium gear, and it's digital, and it's high voltage. So let's just say
it could probably lift
you
off the ground, Mike. You could put a lever on it, and it could probably lift you off the ground.
It might be, maybe so. It is in inches of torque, not foot-pounds of torque. But unfortunately, there's three numbers associated with those types of servos, and those are very, very hard on the pocketbook.
Gotcha.
Especially when you have to order like 8 of them. You're kind of like, oh, well, I won't be buying any foamies for a while. Because I remember ordering $5 servo. Didn't we order one where we got like 100 servos for like $35 or something? It was something
sure.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
They were selling like a package deal, and I called Jay. I was like, "Oh my gosh, check this out! We could literally get 100 of these 3 or 5 gram servos for like $30. That's a great deal." I think we wound up ordering them. I had like 50 of them sitting in the other room. It was like a whole bag, of these little servos. I was so excited because they were so cheap, but I think they were like $3 a piece or something, right? Anyway,
yeah.
So, or they were until you bought the big bag, and then they went down to like $1.50 or something. So it was pretty exciting. But yeah, those days are gone, I think, or at least for me,
gone. Yeah,
it's terrible.
So, did you get a chance to open up the glider? Have you looked at it?
I have not. I got back from my trip, and I actually had to go to work. I know, but I had to. And I got no sympathy because when I got back from there, we took a little trip real quick up for Thanksgiving to see my son and his wife, and we got right back, and my trip went to Kona, Hawaii. So I told everybody, I got to go back to work, and they're like, really? And I go, yeah, I got to go to Kona, Hawaii. And they're like, boo, oh, woe is me. We're all suffering and you're going to be sitting in Kona for work. It's terrible. But anyway, I just got back this weekend. So I haven't had a chance to open the glider because the cracked yak was sitting here and all the parts came in. So I just threw it on the bench and kind of put it together. It's flat. So I just glued everything together on that. So, and then I think I have to work again this weekend. So maybe I'll get to it next week.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting what you hear your review or your thoughts of it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to open it because after having listened to your podcast and seeing everything that you did on yours, it'll be interesting to kind of pull it open and see what's out there. Although I didn't think about it in my head, but afterwards I was like, oh man, I should have bought servos for that thing. And then I realized it already comes with all that stuff. So it's a good thing I didn't order all the servos.
Comes with everything. That's why it was such a good deal.
Right, I know, right? But I was thinking after, when I went to work, I was like, Black Friday came and went. I should have ordered. I was so busy ordering the big servos for the big airplanes that I forgot the little airplane. And anyway, so when I got back, I was kind of like, I jerked the box up and I was like, it comes with everything. So. And then the guys out at my club, one of the guys, Tom, we've talked about him before, but he just got a new Phoenix 1500 or 1600 or whatever. So he.
Yeah, I think I saw a note.
Yeah,
on
he
that.
made it this last weekend, I think. And Charlie.
Yeah, without you.
Yeah, Charlie is a good pilot. He does a lot of 3D stuff, and he's from Colorado. He does some FPV stuff as well. He's really good. So there's three official test pilots now. So.
Oh, good.
Which is good. It's always test piloting someone's airplane is always one of those things. It depends on who it is, because you never want to fly it and then crash it because they did something wrong. And
especially when it's brand new. And that's that's just the thing, that added pressure.
Right. But Charlie's a pretty good builder too, so he, he's got some really good stuff. He flies a lot of different airplanes.
So I really like Jay's method for flying other people's planes. There's two questions he asks before he flies it. He says, it's okay if I fly it? That's the first question. And then when you answer yes, he says, and you already checked the CG on it. And if you say yes to that, well, then he's just going to toss it in the air. Because in his mind, he doesn't need to check it any further.
Yeah, that's true.
It's good to go.
And I've seen some planes go down. I'll have to say,
horribly.
None of mine.
Wait, you've seen him? You've seen him flying the airplane went down, or you've just seen your own airplanes go down?
No. I saw him fly planes that went down. There was a buddy there with us. I won't say his name because
he's a listener.
Embarrass him. Yeah, and you know who you are, and he asked those two questions. It was really that way. He's like, "Oh, so you want me to fly this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And it's like, all right, and you check the CG, right? And he goes, yeah. Now, to Jay's credit, he did check left, right, up, down, make sure the servos were in play. Because that's, I think, a pilot's responsibility in my mind to make sure that the surfaces are working right. But the CG, that's a whole nother thing. And if you're letting Jay fly your plane, it better damn well be CG'd out because he'll fly it the way you give it to him.
Huh.
And yeah, he had a lot of fun. The one I saw was tail heavy, and it was flyable, but it was a handful because you're constantly fighting a stall and trying to. Yeah, it means you got to fly it faster, and then it's not trim, and so all that stuff, right? It's just a pain in the butt.
Okay, so riddle me this, there, Jay. Why is it that you assume that they set their own CG? Why do you not check that?
Oh, well, basically, what Mike's alluding to with this particular individual was that he wouldn't check that stuff, or he wouldn't know what the CG was. It might be a plane that the CG wasn't in the normal spot. And I'd say, so did you check the CG? Oh, yeah, it's good. And I'm like, okay. And it would be my hint to him to say, well, maybe I should check that again, or I think it's here, or maybe let me open up the book and see what they say the CG's at. That's what I was trying to, impress upon this particular person. And they never seem to understand.
So
that.
they just were buying
So they
airplanes
just
every
kinda-
week because you crash them anyway. You wouldn't just say, "Hey, let me
Something-
check it. It's way
something
out."
like
Right?
that.
You just say, "Okay, you did it. All right, your airplane's crashed, guaranteed."
Yeah. Well, it was just one of those things where it would crash, or I'd say, "Wow, that was really tail heavy," or "Wow, that was really nose heavy." And they'd go, "Really?" And I go, "Wow, yeah, it's lucky I got it back." Well, not lucky that it came back to the ground. All planes come back to the ground.
Yeah,
Just
that's true.
in the condition they show up after they hit the ground. So I just said to him, "Hey, yeah, that CG didn't seem like it was really on."
I remember
Really?
a
It
couple.
wasn't?
I remember a couple of comments where it was like he's like, "That CG isn't on." He goes, "I thought you were a better pilot, dude. I thought you could fly that," and that just cracked me up.
Yeah. So it was my teaching by negative reinforcement.
Yeah, I know you're good at that.
Yeah.
Well, if he ever looks at mine, I actually have CG markers on mine. So whether it, and we have had a podcast where I did have one that was totally wrong in the book, but I use those little CG markers. You can get them at Hobby King for like $1, and they come in a red or a black. It's a great stocking stuffer. If you guys didn't talk about that stuff, I'll throw that in there. But it's always every time I make an order at those guys or order something, I'll always throw 4 or 5 of those in there because they're great to stick on the bottom of your airplane. I can't remember. I got so many airplanes, and looking at Jay's stack back there. You've got so many. I can't remember every CG from every manual. Some guys I know. I think Charlie actually writes it on the airplane inside the cowling or inside the cowling.
Right,
That's a really good idea.
Right.
Yeah,
He writes down, says the CG is at 43 inches or whatever, which I thought was a great idea. I wish I would have thought of that, but I just use the CG stickers and stick them in there. But I will tell you that, like for Spencer, it doesn't matter what the book says to Spencer. It's how it flies. So he'll start with that, but then he'll fly it. Like he hates flying my A10 from motion because it's really nose heavy to him. He would rather have it tail heavy, so that he gets a better approach. So it's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, that's understandable because most manufacturers will make the planes, nose heavy on purpose.
Well, because you're selling to the masses
nose
and
heavy.
you want them to be able to control it. So if you have a little bit, any airplane that starts out, even when you go test fly a real airplane, you always start out with a little bit forward CG. You don't want the airplane to be so unstable because of the rear CG.
Sure.
So, but it's just the way they build it. They go, "Oh, this is a good, comfortable CG for the masses," and Spencer's always like, "Yeah, that goes by the wayside. I want it to go back where it, it feels comfortable at half throttle, flying straight and level, wherever that CG is." I know on his F-16, he moved it back.
Down.
He moved it back like another 6 or 8 inches.
He likes to fly his upside down too, half throttle, upside down.
Correct.
CG perfect.
Right, correct. Yeah. It should fly the same upright and upside down. Doesn't matter. You should be able to flip it upside down, and it doesn't pitch anywhere.
Right. Well, it's just like your cracked yak. So that one's one you're going to have it half CG.
Correct.
Because you're going to be, it's going to be on its tail. It's going to be hovering. So you want it to be able to do that really quick.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I'll have to send your actually, like if I come down there, I'll bring some of those CGs. We can hand them out at the club. Here you go. This stocking stuffers for all you guys. That way, when Jay asks you, you can just go, "Here it is." That's funny.
Well, in this particular case, though, it wouldn't matter because they would put the dots in the wrong spot. That's what I think Jay was trying to say. Is that
look, I decorated my plane.
They're like, "Oh, look, these stick," and then they puts it on the bottom of the wing. It's
on
like,
the wing tips. Cool. He puts them on the wing tips and the tail.
It's like, Jay's like, why is this one dot further forward than the other one? Well, that's so you can show the range of where the. Oh, right.
That's even better. The range. Yeah, put one in the front, one in the back on the fuselage. You don't put them like side to side. You put them forward and back. You can say, "Hey," you hold the airplane and it's lateral stability. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but it kind of sucks when it's all on one side, on one wing. That's the problem.
Both your fingers on the left wing. Hey, this doesn't balance very well.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's crazy. Well, the amazing part about this season is. After this podcast, we got one on Christmas Day, and that's it for this year. Season 3 is over. That's hard to believe.
Wow.
I know, right? Where'd this year go?
Well,
it did go by pretty quick.
It went to the Electric Festival.
It's coming up.
Yeah. to E-Flight Festival, and the other one I went to in Texas.
The Jet Rally.
I
went
Jet
to that
Rally, and there was one more, wasn't there?
I don't know. Jay didn't do anything. It seems. How come you and I were all traveling this year? Jay didn't go anywhere.
Well, we're the ones with the budget.
Oh, that's true. Actually, we're the ones with the purse strings to the budget. See, Jay.
Maybe we should give Jay some
my
money.
Fun's just going to the mailbox.
Right.
Wah, wah. Yeah, I got a card.
Yeah, our budget will increase by $1 next year.
Exactly.
I get a little bit of a raise, and so the budget goes up $1.
The board said we can add a capital dollar to our.
That's right.
Hey, listen. Well, we got swag this year, so
we did get swag this year. I got one actually. It's a T-shirt. Thank you, Doug. From the Holly Springs. I was actually wearing it the other day, so I like it.
That's good stuff. Oh, and then next year, I'm told Doug I'm definitely going to. So you guys start saving your pennies, because any change in your pocket, I want to go to in a cup in your house, so I can have enough money to buy myself a ticket to go see Doug next year. Because I told him I'm coming.
Oh, that's right, to the Holly Springs Fest, right?
Yeah,
and it's at Labor Day or something, right?
Labor Day, that's right.
Yeah, okay. Well, we got plenty of time now. We'll have to definitely put it on our calendar. And both of you guys are coming out for the Electric Festival, right? As far as we know.
I am.
Yeah, okay. You are too, right, Mike?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Definitely coming.
All right, good. So yeah, it's coming around. It's right around the corner. We were literally 90 days from it, so it's on February 8th, 9th, and 10th, I think. Pretty close.
Good stuff. I haven't seen notice of it yet, though. No email.
If you go on RC groups, they have a link, and you can kind of go.
Last
on
time
there
they emailed me. I guess I thought they would do that again.
What's that? Email you?
Yeah, they emailed me that it was coming out.
Yeah, they probably will, but they probably won't do it until the first of the year. I think they wait. They just literally finished the Jet Rally, the same group of guys. So, and they did pretty good. Actually, Spencer won an airplane at the Jet Rally.
Oh, did he?
It was funny. He was out flying his Ultra Flash, showing off. And they called his number, and he didn't hear it. So then they got through everybody's number, and they're like, "Hey, we called everybody's number." And he's like, "Well, they didn't call mine." And they go, "If you didn't get your number called, come up and check with us." And so he walked up there. Next thing you know, he's walking back with this big old huge Motion RC box. I'm like, "You rat! You got a big airplane." He goes, "Yeah, it's an F-35." And right behind him was a guy walking behind, about 15 steps behind him. And so when he turned around and sat down, the guy goes, "You want to sell that?" So anyway, I think they worked a deal to trade it out with something else, but whatever worked out. But anyway, it was pretty funny. So they do a really good job. Wow. They had a lot of airplanes out there, and it was kind of neat to see the mix between the turbines and the EDFs. It wasn't as big as the Electric Festival, but it was still pretty fun, and they did a really, really good job. Those guys did fantastic job. So it was good to see everybody.
I hope we run into Big Mike in the Electric Festival again. I like that guy.
Oh yeah, Big Mike from California. Hopefully he's listening. He'll come on out. But he brings some nice. He brings some big airplanes and some really cool stuff. So it'd be kind of neat to have him.
He's just a great guy to hang around. I liked him.
Yeah, I think a lot of the same guys are coming. I think Tim Hanstein from Northwest RC is coming. I actually ran into Tony and got to chat with him just a little bit briefly. He and Evelyn were out there. Yeah, Evelyn was flying too. So they were both there, and they said hey, and we kind of chatted. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been so long." And so he's going to be there as well. He told me he's going to bring some stuff out. So
nice, man. Well, like you said, it's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah.
I think there was a guy that helped us fly a Cub. I think his name was John or something.
Yep, John.
That's right. It was a new one that was coming in for E-Flight.
Yeah.
Which looks like it's done really well. I've been to our local hobby shop.
I believe
and, they said that those things are just flying off the shelf, so everybody's jumping in on them.
I like to feel like it was because Jay and I flew that thing and did a YouTube thing for
That's
him.
Right. We were on
that
YouTube.
Made a difference.
That's right. You were YouTube sensations.
We were definitely YouTube sensations. I'm pretty sure everybody watched it.
We didn't quite go viral, but hey,
I'm pretty sure everybody watched it for us. The plane had nothing to do with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Next time, Mike, you're gonna have to do a handstand while you're flying or something.
I was off camera.
There you go. Well, I think there's going to be a lot of different people out there. We're scheduled to stay the whole weekend again, so that was pretty fun. I think we got my cracked yak. Let's see. Do I have it sitting here? Let me see if I have it sitting here. I do not. But guess what came with my cracked yak? LEDs. LEDs. So now I get to fly the cracked yak at night as well.
Oh, you're going to set it up for a night flight?
Yeah, it's got. It actually was a little
idea.
kit that you could buy with it, and I just attached it. It wasn't very expensive; it was like $8 or $9, and it just plugs into your receiver, and you flip the switch, or it comes on, and it's got 4 lights total, and they light up the whole, upper and lower side. So it.
So you're going to have the night owl and then the cracked yak for the night flights.
Night walrus, yeah.
Walrus.
Yep. So that'll be kind of cool.
All right, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and maybe, who knows, I might get a one of those X-brace things for the bigger airplane. We'll see if I can. I don't know. I'll look at it and see if it's worth it. Excellent. I think I'd be a little nervous flying balsa at night, but.
Hey, are you going to work on your trailer at all?
I had plans to do that when my dad was here, and we wound up painting my house instead. So I am going to try and do something with the trailer, but time is slipping by so quickly. I don't know if I'm going to have the new interior done by the Electric Festival. So, however, I may have all the parts here. So you and I, if you come up, you may be putting my trailer together in the first 2 days you're here. Instead of working on airplanes.
It's either that or we're going to be putting together a plane.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
one of the two.
One or the other. That's
or
fine.
Both.
Or both.
Nobody sleeps when they're here during the Electric Festival. We're up all night. My wife goes to bed and then gets up for work and goes, "What the heck? You guys are still up here building airplanes? And why is everything all over the house?"
Well, you just got that floating workbench.
I do.
The whole
house. So.
And the garage.
Yeah, I've actually done a little modification of the garage, so I have a nice little workbench out there as well. So.
That's where you have your new workbench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a new. It's not really a workbench; it's a tool chest, but it's 96 inches long, so we have plenty of room to stand side by side and work on stuff. And I got drawers to put my RC stuff in. I just haven't moved anything out there yet, but it's still in my other room. So.
You mean your wife's office?
It's still in my wife's office. Yeah. Which is slowly turning into a home search, because I came in the other day and there was a new a house for sale down the road in our neighborhood, and it had a workshop, and it was sitting here on my desk like with a circle around the workshop. I was like, "Hey, is this a hint? Is this a hint?" She just looked at me and went, "What did you think? What do you think?" And I was like, "Okay, I get it. You're tired of my RC stuff in your office."
Oh boy,
no, I'm gonna get in trouble. Trust me. So Mike's there this week, and helping you do whatever it is that you guys are going to do to fix your airplanes, right?
Oh yeah, I think we're going to spend some.
Actually, we're going to be working on
FPV stuff.
Well, 2 airplanes. Your Talon and my Orbit Wing.
Yeah, Jay bought me a pre-Christmas present of a F411 wing controller, and I'm going to put that in the Talon, and then hook it up to my OSD, and to have an OSD and put for the goggles and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that should be lots of fun.
I think you guys talked a little bit about that on the last podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Because didn't Doug ask some questions about that?
Yeah, we started talking about it. Yep.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be getting one soon. I know I've been texting him, as I've been texting Mike on, "Hey, what are you going to do with this or that?" And, "Hey, have you thought about this receiver?" Doug's kind of included on the
on the text,
that text stream.
Yeah, he never had a chance. I know Doug's going to hear this podcast, but he never had a chance. Jay totally set him up. It's like putting the ball on top of the tee. That's what Jay did. Stuck the ball right up there. There's no way he can miss
so
it.
he's been writing back to me like, "Hey, what do you think about this receiver?" Or, "Hey, what do you guys think about this thing?" Nice. And so we're giving him all the information, and I'm giving him a couple of choices. So yeah, I think he's going to be hooked. I don't know. I might be able to see him a little earlier. I may not make it out for the festival, but I think my wife and I may be going to South Carolina, so I may have to steal the car and just go up to North Carolina for just a quick.
Yeah, because that's not a small drive at all. A whole different state.
It's only like an inch.
It's an inch on the map, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Inch on the map. That's too funny. That's crazy.
Yeah. So one of the things that happened to me when I was so the listeners don't know that I use only Linux on my desktop, and I get a lot of ration of stuff for this, and so Mike and Jay use Apple products, and I use Linux. And so Jay was like, "Oh, this would be cool though because this board works great, and it works on all the different platforms, Windows and Linux and Apple." And so like we were both really happy because it's like, cool, this is going to work great. And then I put the software on there, and because I'm using a laptop, not a full screen computer monitor, I couldn't see the bottom of the screen, which means I couldn't upgrade the thing. And so I had some trouble. But to the advantage of Linux, I was able to change the way the computer worked to be able to pan up and down to see the bottom of the screen. So now I was able to do what I needed to do. So this is just kind of funny.
Well, what was funny was when you wrote back to me going, "Hey, this thing works." Like he sends me a text picture. "Hey, it works." Then the next thing is, I think I bricked the flight control board, and I'm like, "What?"
Wait, you went from working to bricking it. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that was not. I was just like, "No way!" And he's like, "Oh yeah."
That was a tired moment. It didn't really brick it. I was just tired, and I shouldn't have been playing with it, and I was, and I should have just put it down. I walked away. But I said I bricked it, and that's when I did walk away. And then the next time I plugged it in, it was working fine, so it's no big deal.
Well, I'm glad you didn't brick it, man. So
me too.
Yeah, me three. That would have been.
Yeah, so he sent down. I think the GPS is coming to the house, so hopefully when you bring all the stuff, we'll be able to solder it up, add some cables, configure it, and get it ready for the Talon.
Should already be there.
Nice.
Well, that's pretty cool. Get everything ready to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Should already be there.
That's awesome.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Or we'll have something to talk about after the new year. How about that?
Yeah, you can do that. Talk about how you didn't brick it and now how it actually works because the two of you got together and got it all.
Something like that. Or the next episode will be, and how I lost my plane.
That's right.
How we lost both our planes.
If you live in this area and happen to be a Talon, please return it to.
You hear something beeping in the woods.
If you come across my Talon, please send it back to this address.
That's right.
Well, I will tell you that in January, one of our listeners is coming through Phoenix. Philip reached out to me, and he's one of our listeners, and he said, "Hey, man, I'm going to be working there in Phoenix. I'd love to go hang out with you guys." So I think I'm going to try and get Spencer and Barry and take them over to the Sun Valley Flyer Club and do some flying. So. That'd be kind of. It's always cool to have listeners, reach out to us and come by and hang out.
Yeah, maybe he'll let us interview him.
Yeah, he actually said he'd love to be on the podcast, so we'll have to get my equipment over there. I think he's only got one day with me, but we're going to try and make the most of it. So. Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So, Philip, if you're listening, we're looking forward to having you come out in January. So.
No pressure.
Exactly.
All right, so that's 2 podcasts down for next year. What else do we got?
I know, right? We already have to we got the Electric Festival, and I don't know. Are there any other festivals? I'm pretty sure that the Jet Rally, it doesn't come until October, but I'm pretty sure that they're already making plans to go to a Jet Rally next year. I know Mike's going to the Holly Springs. If we can get out there, we'll try to go too.
Well, I hope one of you guys decide to go to Flight Fest.
Yeah, I want to make the next one.
That would be good too.
Whether
we go to Flight
whether
Fest.
It's in Ohio or Texas, if they do it in the same spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's in Texas, it'd be real convenient because I can actually get down there pretty easily. And you actually got to meet up with somebody, didn't you?
Yeah, I ran into Josh, and we talked about that in the past podcast a little bit. Josh Bixler, and it was a lot of good stuff. I'd really like to get an interview with him. He said that he would do it, and so I'm looking forward to connecting with him and doing that.
Man, we're up to 5. That's 5 podcasts we already got down. That's awesome.
Jay's already knocking them off. Hey, look.
Hey, man.
We can get all these knocked out.
The more ideas that we can have or for shows, then it's definitely makes our job that much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, unfortunately, our hour is up. Hard to believe.
Oh.
I know. Went by pretty quick with all my stories, but it is good to be back, and Christmas is right around the corner, so we want to wish you a Merry Christmas and make sure you go out and buy all your RC stuff early. If you didn't get it on Black Friday, make sure you get something for the Christmas. Our next podcast comes out Christmas Day, so we will be able to wish you a Merry Christmas on Christmas Day, which is kind of cool. I don't think any of our podcasts have been on Christmas before.
No, it just worked out that way. That's all.
Yeah, it worked out. So, but what else? Anything for this week?
For me, I've just been working on my flight controller board, just soldering stuff on.
Right.
Other than that, I've just been waiting for a nice day to go out and go fly.
Well, there you go. Be cool.
Yeah, it's been a little too windy for me, and then it's starting to get colder, and I'm starting to remember about Alaska, and I'm thinking, gosh, it's so cold here.
Yeah. It's so cold. It's not quite freezing yet.
It's so cold here. Yeah, it's almost freezing. What am I going
to
do?
He's already acclimating. You know, I mean, that's crazy. Well, it's good that you're getting used to the Texas weather there, Mike, and won't be long before you'll be out flying. So spring's right around the corner. Trust me. Older I get, the faster the years click by. I don't know why, but they just go and faster and faster.
Well, like you said, the 3 years of doing podcasts just all of a sudden seems like it's been flying.
I know, right? It does. Season 4 next year. We're only about a couple of weeks away.
Hey, I forgot to mention that we told Doug. Doug was talking about Black Friday, and we're going to try to make that more of a national thing, like not just his club, but maybe the club here in Texas. And Jay's going to do it his little personal group, and then we're hoping that maybe you would try to encourage your Superstition Club to do the same thing, do Black Friday.
Do a Black Friday? Okay. We'll give it a try.
Yeah.
We'll put something together. And it could be the Park Flyer Podcast Black Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Doug said we could take that. He was okay with it.
He was okay? All right, perfect. I did get another email, and it's from a guy I used to work with. He is down in your area, just in San Antonio area. And he started flying RC again. So he sent me a little note and said, hey, man, I remember when we were working together and you were telling me about it, and I joined a club down there, and I was like, hey, Jay's right around in your area. So maybe when he gets back with me on the email and sends me a note that, tells me what club and where it's at, I'll get all that information. Sure. You can go down there and check it out. Or invite him up to your place. One of the two. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So that way we can get some more contacts out there. It's always good to see other people who are enjoying the hobby and are coming back after years of not flying. So if you haven't flown in a while, get out there and fly. If the weather permits, those of you guys up in...
it'll be interesting to get his idea of how things have changed or gotten easier or worse.
Oh, yeah. He was already asking me about the radios and that kind of thing. Because he's like, I got to get a new radio because... He went out, I think, with the 72 megahertz, and everybody looked at him
my
like,
Conquest doesn't work as much good as it used to.
Yeah, exactly.
4-channel Conquest.
I can't find these tubes.
Yeah.
Tubes.
You have a 72.76 crystal.
Right,
something?
Exactly. Yeah. You walk over to the guy and go, hey, where do I check this in at? And the guy's looking at you like you got 3 heads. What are you talking about? We don't have a board anymore. Actually, we still have one out at our club. It's got everybody, all the pegs on it.
We do, too. There's still people who fly the 72 megahertz stuff.
Oh, do they? Yeah, I don't think there's anybody.
Not very many, but they have to have it just in case, right?
Just in case. Well, that's good though, because those were great radios. So they did a really good job for a long, long, long time.
Yeah,
so 2.4 gigahertz just allows you to just jump out there and just go to town. So,
yep,
perfect.
Well, there's another show.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about getting a new radio myself.
Oh, were you? Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Getting a Tyrannus finally.
Nope, I'm not going to get a Tyrannus.
What?
Yep. You're just going to have to wait for the show, and I'll tell you that.
All right, fine.
There you go. Well, guys, it's been fun. Right. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Park Flyer Podcast. Michael from Arizona.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
You guys have a good week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.